My mother steals my blind cane, therefore, I share the narrative behind this incident. I am a 28-year-old woman who recently lost her vision during adolescence. I volunteered in my local youth group to assist in the reconstruction of Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. Unfortunately, I contracted a parasitic fungus called histoplasmosis during this experience, which, over a decade, migrated to my eyes, leading to my complete blindness about a year ago. Initially, upon becoming blind, I avoided leaving home, frightened by the idea of facing the public. I felt as if everyone was watching, and honestly, I barely understood how to make this transition. Adaptation was challenging, with no support group to guide me. Once, my husband suggested we take an Uber to the bank to deposit a rent check. Reluctantly, I agreed. While he was out, reminding myself of the need for some groceries, I decided to face the experience of shopping alone. Even with difficulties at first, using my cane and some navigation skills, I made progress. At one point, however, my cane found something softer, and I thought I might have bumped into someone's leg. Apologizing, the situation quickly turned into a confrontation. The mother, outraged, claimed that I had hit her child and began shouting, not understanding that I am completely blind. Trying to calmly explain my condition, she insisted that I was pretending. My patience was tested when she suddenly ripped my cane from my hands. For those who don't understand, it's like if, during your shopping, the power is suddenly cut off, and you can't see a single light. At that moment, my blood boiled. I cannot conceive why someone would pretend to be blind, as it is genuinely challenging. Nothing irritates me more than being called a liar. Without the chance to respond, my cane was taken away, leaving me completely disoriented. Without my cane, I can barely move. Everything feels like an obstacle, and my voice trembles as panic begins to set in. Please, give it back, I really need it, I plead. The arrogant mother replies, no, you don't need it. You're a liar. My son deserves to play with it more than you. I hear my cane being dragged, destroying metal displays along the way. I start crying, waving my arms for support. I end up hitting and falling into a display in the central aisle, creating a noisy scene. Without fail, I crawl to a ball and cry, feeling completely lost in public, in the dark, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, I feel a hand on my shoulder and hear a man's voice. He asks if I'm okay and tells me to stay where I am. I remain there, listening to his heavy footsteps moving away about 30 or 40 feet. A furious scream and a loud crash follow. Before I realize it, the man is back, helping me up. He puts my cane in my hand and helps me retrieve the items that fell during my fall. I wipe tears from my face and thank him deeply. Thank you so much. I didn't know how to handle this. The amazing man comforts me, telling me not to worry. Some people are just monsters. He restores my faith in humanity, helping me finish shopping and leaving the store. As we leave the place, I hear the familiar scream of the arrogant mother, mentioning an amazing guy gripping the cane tightly, throwing her son into a shopping cart. I don't know if she's exaggerating, but that would explain the crash I heard. Even with the terror of being stripped of my cane, at least I know there are people willing to defend me when needed. This experience was sad, especially since I hoped my trip to the supermarket would be positive, being my first time alone in that environment after losing my vision. The horrible episode ended up marking that moment. The unexpected support from that man made everything more bearable. It's disconcerting to imagine that someone would pretend to be blind, but that person's understanding and help were crucial to overcoming this challenge. Reading the story, it's shocking to think that a fungal parasite, acquired while helping Hurricane Katrina victims, caused blindness over a decade. Although I don't know how common this is, it's a terrible outcome of an initially altruistic action. The surprise is also present in reflections on the truth of my blindness when typing, something explained by the need to clarify people's constant doubt. This account highlights how empathy and kindness from strangers can make all the difference, especially in challenging moments for a blind person. I'll respond initially with my fingers, and secondly, I'm using a screen reader called Narrator, which reads the screen where my cursor or finger is positioned. It reads as I type a letter, functioning similarly to Google. Even in text format, people still question whether I am truly blind or not, which can be extremely frustrating. If you've been through a similar situation, share what happened. Otherwise, I'd like to know what you would do if you were in a situation like this. My mother insists that I stop treating my young adult children as adults. To provide a bit of context, I have 2 young adult children living at home, both aged 18 to 19. Both work and attend college. I trust their decisions, as they have gained skills since graduating high school and turning 18. New rules have been set, no curfew, just the requirement to call me and inform if they will be out overnight. I don't worry, they can call me anytime to pick them up. No questions, just guidance not to be reckless, especially regarding alcohol and driving. Their partners can stay overnight or the weekend, as long as they inform me. During the summer, when they work full-time, they pay a small amount of rent and contribute to car insurance. Each has their tasks, and we work together. There are few fights or arguments at home. This is their time to grow, learn to be responsible adults, with me as a safety net. Recently, one of my children, someone important to him, has been spending a lot of time at home. 2 days ago, I received a call from an unknown number, answered it, and it was my daughter's boyfriend's mother, known as the mother-in-law. She asked me to tell her son that he can no longer come to my house. Intrigued, I asked who she was, and she identified herself as Tommy's mother. I concluded that the conversation would take an unfavorable turn. I responded, praising Tommy's polite and respectful behavior, but the mother-in-law insisted that he should no longer come to my house. Ignoring her comments about my son, I explained that he is rarely at home, and she countered, claiming that he doesn't spend time with her. The conversation became tense when she started criticizing my daughter for not having a curfew at her house. Speaking in a lower and restrained tone, I asked her to stop shouting. She interpreted that as a yes. She then launched accusations about the bad example I was setting for her son. To calm things down, I asked a simple question: do you trust the way you raise your son? She answered affirmatively, and I argued that I also trust my children to make good decisions. I tried to explain that I am providing a safe space for her son when things are not well at her home, especially due to her husband's alcohol problem. She starts interrupting at this point, but I won't allow it. It's not her fault, the mother falls silent. He kicks her son out for days at a time, sometimes for no apparent reason. Isn't that right, Mom? I ask. I can hear her voice choked by tears. You need someone to talk to. How about we go out for lunch? That way, you can feel more secure knowing where your son is and that he's safe. The mother-in-law agrees, and we stay on the phone for about an hour. What started as an authoritarian mother turned out to be a scared and very lonely woman. I apologize for not having an immediate solution, but I feel like everything ended well. I will try to get Tommy's, the 19-year-old, curfew extended from 10 p.m. to midnight, and maybe he can stay here for a weekend. What do you think? This turned out to be much healthier than I imagined based on how it all started. It seems like all the mothers involved are dealing with a serious lack of control. Fortunately, the mother in question shows a high degree of empathy. Not only did she resist shouting without retorting, but she also managed to see beyond appearances and seek a solution close to ideal. The real core of the issue seems to be the father, but addressing that without knowing all the details of the situation doesn't seem realistic. So, the mother offers an alternative, suggesting to meet her so that she feels more comfortable about where her son spends all this time. It's rare to see a situation resolved in this way. The narrator even apologizes for not having a more definitive solution to conclude this story. If you've been through a similar situation, share what happened. If not, what would you do if you were in this situation? Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and, if you want, send your own story to be shared here. Check the link below in the description. Thank you very much for watching until the end of this HistoReddit channel video. I hope you enjoyed the story and the reflection on complex situations. If you liked it, don't forget to share it with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and activate the notification bell. Your participation is crucial for the channel's growth. Until the next episode, and thanks again for being part of the HistoReddit community.